What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel and more Blood and Plunder here as we keep working our way through the different pirate commanders. So today we're taking a look at John Quelch, another John here. We just looked at John James, another one that can lead either the Golden Age Pirates or the Last Buccaneers. So 15 pointer, so he's the cheapest one that we've seen so far as the named characters go. He has the brace of pistols and the standard melee weapon, so we're a-okay with that loadout there. Has the 8-inch command range, so again, a little bit on the lesser side there with some of these recent characters as far as that goes, and only has the one command point, and that's probably a large reason for the cheapness of his point cost there. But he does still give you 3 special abilities, so just because he's on the cheaper side doesn't necessarily mean that he's like a bad choice, right? It's just a cheaper option, although again, the one command point is obviously going to be a limitation on certain things, so we got to be careful with that. Now, broadside, we've covered that many a times, but we'll cover it here for this character as well. So ideally, he's going to be more geared towards naval engagements, right? If you're fighting on land, sure, but it's just you're not really going to get the use of broadside. But basically, we can pool all of our cannons together into one shot, and that way we're increasing our chance for crits, and crits are always going to be the best way for us to cause more damage to the enemy, right? Especially if we're trying to maybe, with pirates, maybe we're fighting against a larger opponent with more guns and stuff like that, but if we can land that lucky crit, maybe we can just ruin their plans altogether. Causing fires or floods, damaging their ability to shoot back, ruining their steering, things like that. Maybe we can stay out of their line of fire entirely and just keep blasting away. There's so many cool things that we can hope to accomplish by causing crits, aside from just the obvious damage there. So always a useful ability to have. Now, unlike a lot of characters, we're not seeing inspiring here or some other flavor of that, but we have a couple of other neat things here. So we got lead by example. So with that one, basically, if the unit that includes the commander causes an opponent's units to be removed from the game, whether it's casualties, routing, etc., all units in your force can remove a point of fatigue. So it's not quite like inspiring as far as re-rolling rally tests and stuff like that, but if you think about it, if we're taking the fight to the enemy and we're making sure that the commander's unit can essentially wipe out an opponent's unit, the whole force, regardless of range, because it makes no mention of that, regardless of range or line of sight or anything like that, they just sense that the commander's unit is, showing the boys how it's done, essentially, and they're taking heart at that. So depending on how the battle's going, maybe a lot of your units have acquired a little bit of fatigue. So just those free removals of that can be huge, especially if a unit has 2 or more fatigue on there. Just getting that back down to 1 or less is phenomenal, right? So if we can constantly sort of press the fight and press the advantage with the commander's unit, and ideally do that as long as possible and keep them alive as long as possible, that's going to be great for us over time, right? And then that way we don't have to ideally spend as much time using rallying, right, taking up the unit's own actions, or spending that one command point on rally orders. So we can use it for something else more productive, perhaps. So, and really, because we're going to have to stretch that one command point a turn as far as we possibly can. Now, the other one, which we don't see too often as well, is motivated. So that maybe kind of goes a little bit hand in hand with lead by example. So when the commander uses a command point, in other words, our one command point, to give a unit an action, the commander's unit may take a point of fatigue to give that unit an additional action. So again, he's leading by example himself, but then he's really pushing home the command point. So it's almost like a double command point in that sense, but at the expense of our fatigue. But again, if we can then, wipe out an enemy unit with one of our own like main actions, we can get that fatigue right back, right? Because all units in the force, even the commander's own, will remove a point of fatigue. So we can kind of get a little bit of a combo going with that. It just depends on, the right situation, how do we most properly apply that. So it's a careful game that you got to play there, but taking the fatigue at the wrong time could be pretty nasty. So ideally we only do that when we maybe have no fatigue on the commander's unit. We take the 1, then we wipe out an enemy unit, get fresh again. We wouldn't want to take that second fatigue ideally on our own unit if we already had one, and then impact our ability to have actions and stuff like that. But little things to consider, but it makes him an interesting choice on how to most effectively apply that. But you can then kind of do a deep dive with those 2 factions there that we've covered and figure out just where can we get the best possible use out of that, and set us up to be as effective as possible in some of these naval engagements. That being said, guys, let us know where you feel he's a better fit. Golden Age Pirates or Last Buccaneers. Let us know if you've had any experience running him, or where did you do that, which faction, or did you come up against him, and how did that battle go in either case. Let us know in the comments, like and subscribe, and we'll have more Blood and Plunder for you soon. Thanks for watching.